Serious conclusions from your committee, a fundamental failure to recognise a serious threat to the country.
Well, the trade-off is between obviously prosperity and security, and what we found is that the eagerness for prosperity has been put over and above security. Although the government has various strategies on China, there's been very little effort until recently to address the serious concerns around security and what China are trying to achieve.
Yes, I mean, you don't pull your punches, do you? I mean, you talk about an existential threat to liberal democratic systems like ours in Britain. You cast China pretty much as an enemy in waiting, and you see the government then as being hooked on seeing Beijing as a partner instead of the threat that it is.
Well, we've seen a situation whereby we've allowed investment in, for example, critical national infrastructure without the serious questions being asked about long-term security for the UK. China is very clear that it, wants to influence and influence events in terms of becoming a technological and economic superpower, and it does that by overt means in terms of buying into industries and extracting the technologies it can, or covertly in terms of some of the other methods it uses.
Yes,
but the government has been very slow in terms of recognising that.
Okay, just spell it out a little for us. You are talking about, espionage in various forms. What kind of forms does Chinese espionage take?
Well, it's two. It's one, the overt, where they've used economic power, which is, they're not just in this country, but around the world. They've got their Belt and Road Initiative, which is about buying influence in countries in certain technologies. And unlike the United States, which has a defined list of industries which should be looked at in terms of security first, in terms of foreign investment from China, we don't seem to have that. And what we've really gone for really is putting the the prosperity needs above what are securities. They take technology, and in academia they do it two ways. There's obviously the influence in terms of getting involved in basic research and extracting that information and IP, and also in terms of the influence it can have in terms of the political agenda on the campuses and other political forums in the UK.
Yes, exerting pressure on students at those universities and on the authorities at the university through the funds that those colleges find so valuable. And when it comes to politics, how is pressure exerted there? Is it about the use of funds and placing people, if they can, in positions of influence and power?
Well, it is very similar to the in certain, when we did our Russia report, is you buy influence. David Cameron sits on a board of a Chinese entity. You've got the Danny Alexander, the former Liberal Democrat Treasury spokesman, for example, minister, on a Chinese company, and they buy influence this way. And it's important that not all Chinese investment is bad, but we need to be our eyes wide open in terms of when that investment comes, looking at the security aspects of it.
And you're particularly concerned about nuclear power.
Well, this is an issue which we did look at because it's allowed the Chinese state nuclear body to have a critical part in our nuclear power industry. And it's not about turning the lights off. It's about actually affecting the debate later on in terms of influence in the UK, in terms of either withdrawing that investment or put influence later on. It's about influence buying and also helping establish the Chinese nuclear industry around the world.
What does the answer look like then from your perspective, Kevin? I mean, China, we know the way China operates. It pursues its own national self-interest aggressively, certainly at home and certainly around the world. Is the answer to shut the door on Chinese money, on Chinese influence, on Chinese tech? Is that what you'd like to do, to go to that sort of length?
No, what we need is a sensible approach, which, for example, the US and Australia have done, is where you look at investment from China, look at it through the prism of security. Is it affecting our national security? And what the government have done is, even though they've got a strategy, a China framework strategy, they've devolved the responsibility to policy departments who have not got the expertise or the numbers of individuals to look at that investment and whether it should be made or not.
Yeah.
So it's not about shutting the door, it's about being a bit more conscious of the security implications of investment.